Hey, things starting to heat up as the start of the Chiefs training camp is here. It's all sponsored by our friends at Central Bank of the Midwest. Jackson here and Matt Derrick joining me in just a moment. So one of the biggest questions of the offseason has been this guy right here. It's been answered. We saw a ripped workout of Chris Jones putting in the work on his own. Now Jones is at camp. But is he going to be on the practice field on Saturday? While he missed OTAs and minicamp, well, he still has a lot of support from his teammates who says he's ready to help make this team a winner.
I mean, obviously, whoever will think what they want to think, but it's a team, and we all know where his head is and where his heart is. So, that's just what he's doing right now. He's just working like everybody else. So, you can't just assume that he's not working right now. So, like I said, he's working in his own right, and then he helped me. So that's all you can ask from a teammate, and he's been a tremendous teammate ever since the night I got drafted. I mean, literally the next day we were talking. So like I said, he's a tremendous teammate, and he's been working himself.
So today's a special day. It's filled with a whole lot of antics, but all the Chiefs know the start of training camp means working toward that ultimate goal of a Super Bowl title, especially after that bitter taste following last year's disappointing finish against the Patriots.
It took a while. Because everyone obviously was there for that game and saw that game, and it was a close one, nail-biter. It sucks it didn't go our way, but it took me a little while to get over it. But, we're just coming back this year with that same level of tenacity.
So time now to turn our attentions to the experts. Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com joining us today. And Matt, you were out there this morning, and I got to ask you, was there a different feel or a different vibe than years past?
There has been. Every year this team goes into a season with Super Bowl expectations. Last year, they talked about it, but I don't know if anybody really believed that they were really on the cusp. Now it's Super Bowl or bust. This team truly believes that it's a Super Bowl team, and that's their expectation from day one.
Well, day one, they've been working hard, and the Chiefs rookies actually did have a workout this morning. And what do you think about some of these guys? You talk offensively, and everybody knows about what Patrick Mahomes can do, but this team is ready to really showcase their weapons once again.
They are, and now that they've got the news that Tyreek Hill is going to be with them for the season, they've got all the weapons that they need. And with Travis Kelce coming back from the ankle injury, his surgery in the offseason, he says it's 100%, feels better than he's felt in several years. There's nothing ready to hold this offense back. They've got everything primed that they want and need to have a big season on that side of the ball.
And on the flip side of the ball, defensively, everybody's talking about how bad this defense was, especially down the stretch last year. What are some of the things that the Chiefs defense need to focus on for training camp?
At this point, they're really just focusing on getting to know each other. They've got probably 6 new starters that are going to be on this team this year. And it's really just a matter of getting all those guys all to gel together. And like you talked about, Chris Jones, just reporting today, he has not been with the team for any of the offseason workouts. So all these new teammates that he's got, Frank Clark on the defensive line, Alex Okafor, they've never played with Chris Jones, never practiced with him. So that's going to be the most important part, is getting them all on the same page and gelling and building that chemistry.
How hard is it going to be for Chris Jones with a new defensive coordinator coming in, learning a new scheme? Is it going to be hard for him to pick up that scheme, or is it going to take a couple of weeks, or what do you think the timeline is going to be?
It's going to take some time. That was a big deal about him not being there, is that they are putting in this new scheme. They got the new defensive coordinator, and you have to learn that. The advantage is that Jones is a really good player, so he's got that going for him. The other thing is that his teammates have been talking about this Steve Spagnuolo system is a little bit more simple. It's a little more basic. It's an attack the gap, just a go scheme, and that's what Chris Jones really thrives at. When you just let him pin his ears back and go out to the quarterback, that's what he does.
And he's always such a fun guy. And you talk about a locker room guy, somebody who could rally people. That's a big plus, too, to have that good chemistry with those guys. One other thing, Matt, you talked about so many of these other players, and everybody's looking through the program. They're looking through the roster. Who are your top 5 guys that people really need to look out for this season?
Well, it's going to start on the defensive side of the ball. That's where people, I think, are going to be most interested. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, and Frank Clark, the big free agent acquisitions. If this defense comes together, it's going to be because those 2 guys are leading the way. Then you move to the offensive side of the ball. Tyreek Hill has not had any offseason work with the team. He didn't go through any of the OTAs or the mini camp. So getting him back out there, getting him acclimated in the offense, and everybody on the same page is going to be a big deal. Sammy Watkins, a lot of people are saying, is in the best shape of his career. Him and Hill on together, they should be putting on a show, and it's all driven by the quarterback with Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is going to be the one that everybody's coming out for. The Chiefs are expecting record crowds at training camp this summer, and the reason why is because everybody's coming out to see him.
And speaking of records, you talk about 50 touchdowns last year in his second season, his first year as a starter. Is that impossible for him to have a repeat performance, an MVP type year like he had last year?
It's not impossible, difficult, yeah. I mean, having 50 touchdowns and 5,000 passing yards in a season, it's something that most quarterbacks don't do once, much less doing twice. It's going to be really, really hard. The advantage he's got is that he's got a coach that's going to let him throw the football a lot. He's got a lot of weapons around him. But at the end of the day, he could have a better year this year, be league MVP, and his stats still might not be as good as they were last year.
Well, I know who's getting better than they were last year at arriving, and that's one Anthony Sherman. Oh, boy. I tell you, while Sherman set the pace, his teammates worked to speed past him in the arrival game today. Punter Dustin Colquitt and the other specialists arrived at camp in a camouflage military RV. Kicker Harrison Bucker and long snapper James Winchester also catching a ride. Colquitt said he did it to honor our servicemen and women. He also wanted to catch Sherman's attention.
I heard, you guys can vote on that. I think when I heard NASCAR, it sparked, and I was like, I gotta try to one-up him.
They're doing this all over the place. Matt, you were there. Have you seen anything this crazy?
This was pretty crazy. I know there's been some creative ones around the league, and Sherman always raises his game. This year he's adding props, so I don't know how he could beat it the next year. I mean, that's going to take some creativity.
Well, I got to give him his props. And, there's a lot of players around the NFL who continue to make this thing more and more interesting. How do you beat this one, though?
This one's going to be tough. I mean, if anybody can do it, Anthony Sherman's the Patrick Mahomes of arrival day. So if anybody can do it, he can.
Well, don't forget, there's plenty of action going on tomorrow. The first practice for fans that you can head out and attend, it'll be at 3:30 in St. Joe. Tickets, $5 a piece. You can also get autographs with your favorite Chiefs tomorrow. We're going to have all that coverage for you. Ryan Marshall, Mackenzie Nelson will cover every angle at training camp for tomorrow. So for Matt, Derrick, I'm D. Jackson. We'll have plenty of action for you coming up tonight as well. Have a good evening.